Welcome to the Agency Nation radio podcast, powered by Trusted Choice and the Big I. This is a special hard market bonus edition, prioritizing risk management, featuring National Young Agents Council members.
Welcome to Agency Nation radio podcast, where insurance professionals turn on the mic and share unscripted stories about leadership, technology, marketing, success, and failure. Stories that help make them the professionals they are today. Agency Nation Radio is presented by the Big I and Trusted Choice. Today's episode is part of the Young Agent Tactical Series, a special hard market bonus series brought to you by the National Young Agent Committee in conjunction with Trusted Choice Hard Market Toolkit. I'm today's host, Daschle Larsen, a member of the National Young Agent Committee and Risk Advisor at North Risk Partners. I'm joined by Jack Griffith, partner at TWIA Insurance Agency in Summerville, South Carolina. Jack, how are we doing today?
I'm well. Thanks for having me on, Daschle.
Good. Well, thanks for being here. And, I'm in the frozen tundra up in South Dakota, and I know you're in the beautiful paradise that is South Carolina. So they're not to be confused. But why don't you tell me just a little bit about your background, Jack, to get started, to kind of let our listeners know who we're talking to today on this call.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm from Beaufort, South Carolina, a small little town on the southern coast of South Carolina. Went to the University of South Carolina for undergraduate school. Graduated from the Daschle Larsen School. We joke that out of our entire agency organization, everybody kind of found their way or failed their way into insurance. So only one of our 35 people here actually majored in risk management insurance. So ended up joining our agency down there in Beaufort. We have a location in Beaufort. Joined them right out of college. Worked there for 2 or 3 years. And then my partners wanted to open up a second location. So in May of 2018, we opened up this shop here in Summerville. Pretty much commercial lines focused out of here. But we've been open since 2018. Certainly new territory, which was exciting in itself, followed by COVID in 2020, which was exciting, and then led us here today. So we've been open, just had our 6-year anniversary at this location. Agency in Beaufort has been around for 100 plus years. So as an organization, we're growing and been doing insurance for, 8 or 9 years now on top of that.
Awesome. Well, thanks for the background. And you mentioned the key words, which is going to be the topic of our conversation today, a focus on risk management, right? The hard market has had an impact on agencies across the United States. We're all getting tired of talking about hard market, right? And we keep saying it's the market. It's not a hard market now. It's just the state of the market. So there's been numerous weather events and related incidents that increase focus on risk management. So with that, how do you work with clients to help them identify potential risks? And as a follow-up question to that, what strategies do you give them to mitigate those risks?
Yeah, so being in the commercial side of things and where we are, we're on the coast of South Carolina. So we're a coastal exposed agency.
We don't have that here in South Dakota.
No, I don't think you do. But when we say wind and hail, we think of wind. I forget that there is hail to the wind and hail deductibles. But because of where we are and because of location, one of the things that we do to help our clients identify their risk is we really only work with a select clientele. And that helps us focus in. So we're a contractors and coastal property agency. We try not to be a generalist to make sure that we can help our clients identify the proper risk. That is, one of the first ways we do that is by kind of shrinking our client pool. We don't want to try to be everything to everybody because that's not going to do any good for us as an agency or for our clients as a whole. And because of that niche market that we try to work in, because it is property and contractors, we do on-site visits. It's kind of the first thing we do from the start, get a feel for what they're doing, what they're not doing, and actually have a risk manager in-house with us. So he comes on those on-site visits with us. So we're looking at it from a sales standpoint, risk management side of things. What are they doing right? What are they doing wrong? And, for property, fairly easy, how can we help mitigate wind-driven rain losses, wind losses, I mean, there's not much, you can't pick up your building and move, but there are certain steps you can do, such as just proper maintenance of your building. For contractors, it's identifying the key risks that, what are you doing on your day to day, and what does that look like from a leadership perspective? What does that look like from an individual perspective for all your employees? But one of the things too is like, what makes you unique to your business aspect? Everybody, I mean, even you and I probably can say that we have different things that make our agencies unique to our competition. So what makes you unique to your competition is one of the things that we like to ask, because is there something you're doing? A concrete contractor is a concrete contractor, but not all concrete contractors are doing the exact same type of concrete work. There's, sub industries to concrete. So what are you doing that your competition is not doing to help us understand what we need to be on the lookout for to make sure that the coverages that we can apply for you do apply at the time of loss, and to help ID those risk, as we're saying. One of my favorite questions is, have you had an event happen that insurance is not paid out for? That's, I think on the property side and the casualty side, that's always, kind of can help paint a picture of each individual client. Or have you had a near miss where you were scared that insurance would not pay out for? It does help identify what they're actually doing to help identify the risk. So I know that's kind of a broad answer to a specific question.
No, that was perfect, Jack, and it was well said. And I think you do a couple key things there. Having the in-house, loss control specialists. We all know our carriers have loss control on staff because they want to mitigate risks, and that's their focus. But I think what your agency is doing, and a key takeaway from your first answer, is we can be proactive with our approach, especially in this hard market, to help tell the story, like you said, to paint the picture that, hey, these are A clients, not B and C. They have a focus on risk management, on mitigating potential losses by being proactive with their approach in their business, and we're doing the same here. So have you found, just kind of follow up and ask the next question here, how do you articulate your risk management measures to your carriers? Are you getting on the phone with the underwriters? Are you calling your marketing reps? I mean, with you being kind of niche focused, I'm assuming that that's given you a pretty good feel for what your company partners are looking for, when it comes to potential risks or, moving a current client and changing carriers. But how do you articulate that to your carriers on the back end?
Yeah. So, I mean, you kind of brought up some of the things that we do, because every carrier does have a loss control specialist. And so sometimes to our clients, that can look like the big bad insurance company coming in to tell us, how we need to run our business. And so what we try to do is like have that in-house loss control / risk management kind of aspect. And what we do throughout the year is we'll do like a little on-site stuff with them after we've written the account, because obviously there's a lot of upfront underwriting, but then like we go throughout the year, how's the year progressing? What else are y'all doing? And then, when we sell the account to a carrier, we're like, well, we're going to help implement XYZ, be that driver training, be that, cert checking for subcontractors, be that, we're walking the properties. And then we kind of document that throughout the year. And as that's happening, we're trying to keep an open line of communication with our underwriters. It's weird in the technology world that we're in. As technology's advanced, relationships have decreased, it seems like. But I think you can probably speak to this as well. Insurance is still a relationship game, and the better line of communication, and it's anything too. I think not just insurance, but the more you communicate throughout the year. So we're telling underwriters that are on that account throughout the year, this is what they're doing. Now they're doing toolbox talks once a week, or hey, we weren't screening for MV, or we weren't doing MVR screens annually. Now we are, or now we're doing them quarterly. We're doing post-accident and pre-hire drug testing. We're telling them that throughout the year, so they kind of know what they're on, and they see how the risk is evolving throughout the year, which in a hard market, you really want. It sounds I don't know the word I'm looking for, but it sounds like we're complaining, but you're really hoping that the carrier that's on a risk is going to stay on that risk come renewal.
For sure.
Because I'm sure you've seen, as we've seen, that's not always the case. We've got a lot of non-renewals. Just carriers are getting more conservative. So we want to try to keep that open line of communication, almost to incentivize our carriers to stay on the account, but also to translate or to help communicate to them that you're on a good account. Our clients are being proactive. We're not waiting. We're not waiting till the bus full of, with 20 employees tips over to start looking at what we could have done wrong. We're trying to get in front of that on the front end to, like I said, hopefully obtain that renewal, a favorable renewal. Nonetheless, obviously that's subject to market conditions outside of our client, but hey, we're bringing you the best in the class of this business, and we want you to stay on it because of look what they've done throughout the year. And we're trying to help them get to that, which helps with carrier retention and our personal client retention.
So Jack, because it's somewhat unique, right? I mean, and there might be some smaller agencies as far as, the size of the agency that don't have an on-staff loss control representative, so to speak. Are you taking those reports directly to them? Are you having your loss control representative that's on staff communicate that with underwriting? Or is that your risk advisor or producer or agents, whatever term you want to use, is that their job to have that dialogue with the carriers to show them how proactive they are being on the front end?
At the end of the day, it falls on the producer or account executive, producer, however you want to call it, risk advisor, whatever it may be, who brings the account in. For us, because we are kind of a smaller agency, I might oversell what we have, but we try to make sure that we're still having the producer talk to the underwriters, or having the producer communicate to the account manager or a loss control specialist, like what it is that they're doing. It kind of circles back to communication within that little unit as a team. If it's the producer or the account manager who's communicating to the underwriter what that is, but also trying to have the the responsibility falls on the producers at the end of the day. Make sure they're bringing that to the table in the new business meeting as well. Not just okay, we have somebody on the hook, but also, this is what the questions we're asking up front that help gain insight that we can then give underwriters on the front end as well. I think I answered your question. I might have rambled a little bit.
No, that's perfect. And so to kind of segue into another question, what has been the response from carriers? Obviously you've developed a good relationship with risk management. That's why you're on this call today, and respected, individual within our industry. But what's the carrier response? Now they've probably got familiarity with TWIA, so it's just known that, hey, this is a good risk. This is something we want to look at because it's coming from TWIA. So hats off to you for what you've done to be proactive with your approach. But
thank you.
What is the carrier response then, and what is it typically when you can kind of show them those safeguards that the insured is taking?
Obtaining renewals is the first one that we're, like I said earlier, that's our main goal. We're obtaining those renewals at renewal, or we're maintaining the limits. For us in South Carolina, we're having some difficulty with umbrella and excess capacity. So we're obtaining the limits that we need from the carriers that we need. So that's the number one goal. But the other goal is from the carrier side. It's helping. I think it's helping profitability for them and for that state's team. So they're able to see that, by us being proactive in the risk management piece, that we're helping drive down claims costs for them, which is helping with their underwriting profitability. And they appreciate the fact that we're not just, here's a half-filled supplemental at renewal, and here's some accords that may or may not tell you what the client is doing. We're able to get favorable terms for our clients at that renewal or at that new business because we're helping to translate what they're doing at the workplace or at their places of business, to somebody that might be not local, Charlotte, Atlanta, wherever that may be.
Awesome. Yeah, no, it's good to hear. And you mentioned it's a relationship business, and it very much is. It's a relationship with our company partners and our carriers, and it's a relationship business with our clients. We kind of play center field, and we're the middle person, right? We're trying to
Yeah.
massage relationships on both sides to make everything move smoothly. So, to follow up on the carrier side, I asked, what do they like to see? How about your clients? What have they liked? Is there one specific thing, if you had to call it out, maybe two? I know you mentioned like pre-screening MBRs, or if you do drug screenings for them. Are there any two takeaways that our listeners can grab onto and say, yeah, that's a great idea? You've had positive response from your clients, and it's something maybe we can incorporate into our toolbox in this hard market.
Yeah, so this is going to sound super cliche, but all the carrier like marketing material that they actually put out, like some people actually do like that stuff. Like at first I was like, man, nobody needs all this junk. Like, you'll go to like their marketing but like you start diving into it, some of it's like risk management centered. So in South Carolina, for example, for me, like the one thing in our state, this is South Carolina specific, and probably some other states around the country that have some tough construction defect laws, is like we're helping with subcontractor agreements. Like how do your subcontractor agreements read? Like how are they insulating you from claims by work performed by others? That's been our biggest piece. Obviously that we like that to be like one of our selling points that we can help you with, but it also makes our job a little bit easier when we come into an account and they're using a bang up subcontractor agreement. So when they're doing something like that, that's one of the other things that we're looking to help implement. Is any of that, driver training is another big thing. We're a really bad auto liability state too. I know everybody's having a tough time in this market, but I feel like South Carolina is, we're tough on auto liability and construction defects. So it's just one of those things that we're trying to, can we get a driver training in place? Or is it even, drug testing? Can we get that 5% discount for our states? We're drug testing credit. Excuse me. I'm losing my train of thought there, but you have those in place that we're able to implement, which is making your workplace safer, like the drug-free credit, but also you're getting a carrier credit as well. You're getting 5% on your premium that you might not have been consciously doing, but we're helping you put that in writing, and now you're able to equate that to real-world savings in your business.
Awesome. Yeah, great answers. And so we've kind of talked about risk management measures and resources we've provided to the carriers and to the clients. Now let's talk about the agency, right? I mean, what have you done to kind of mitigate the number of E&O claims made within your agency?
So I don't want to take all the credit for this because it is a team effort at our agency. We have an agency, what we call an agency council, which is essentially our management team, who helps identify the risks that we have internally. So I can't speak as much to the personal line side, but on the commercial side, I understand there's enough about personal lines to be dangerous, but not enough that you want me selling it to you.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to speak so much to that as I will to the commercial side of things, but our commercial lines manager, she's incredible. She's one of our partners as well. She does like spot check audits on new business. And what she's checking for is the things that are helping reduce those E&O claims on our end. So what we do, and I'm sure a lot of other agencies do, is the renewal checklist, coverage checklist.
Yep.
We do new business and renewal. What coverages do you have in place? Do you have hired and non-owned auto when you need hired and non-owned auto? Do you have wind coverage? Do you have earthquake coverage? Do you have business income? Do you have professional liability if you need it? Making sure we have those coverage forms at new business, at rewrites. We collect non-admitted forms, making sure, so here in South Carolina, with property and some casualty as well, making sure that they know they're with a non-admitted carrier. Communicating that to the client on the front end, what the difference between a non-admitted and an admitted carrier is, so they're not caught surprised if something is to happen. Although almost every single carrier we ride with has the financial strength that we want them to have, but still we want to make sure we communicate what the difference of a non-admitted versus admitted carrier is to our clients. And then it's repetition. We want everything to be the same. We're repeating the process at new business bind, at rewrite, at policy change, so that everything that we do is always the same. Because the minute you deviate from something, that means now train's off the tracks, and who knows what's going to happen there on the E&O side. But having those policies and procedures of what we're doing at new business, what we're doing at renewal, and even what the account managers are doing, like on policy changes, on certificate of insurance issuances, making sure that can be repeated step and step and step again. So there's no question what we're doing if an E&O situation may arise. And just garbage in is garbage out. So making sure that everything that we bring into the agency from a producer side to the renewal team, the remarketing team, is first class business or first class performance by us, first class work, to make sure that everybody can see what you're doing to prevent E&O claims. We use a vertical product, AMS 360. So we use the hit by the bus analogy. If you're hit by the bus during the middle of a big claim or a big renewal or a big rewrite, this is morbid, but can somebody on the team come in behind you to see what the very last thing that happened in that file was?
No, that's smart. I think, like you said, it's processes, procedures, policies. You got to have the playbook. We always say, have the playbook and run the play. Yeah. If you do that, and you do your job, if you're setting the screen, set the screen. If you're shooting the ball, shoot the ball. Like let's all perform, and it'll be a smooth sailing ship if we can all perform our jobs. So, well, Jack, thank you again for all of the great content today, talking about risk management within the industry. Appreciate your time, and thank you all for tuning in to this edition of Agency Nation Radio, powered by Big I National Young Agent Committee and Trusted Choice. Make sure to download the Trusted Choice Hard Market Toolkit, which is available to all Big I members at trustedchoice.independentagent.com. If you enjoyed today's podcast, make sure you hit the subscribe button and give us 5 stars or leave us a review. And if you have a story for Agency Nation Radio, contact us at hello@agencynation.com.
The content of this podcast does not necessarily reflect the views of Trusted Choice or its affiliates. It's intended for general informational purposes only. Trusted Choice and its affiliates shall not be held responsible for and specifically disclaim any liability relating to this video. Trusted Choice does not guarantee the accuracy or completeness of any information contained herein. This video is not intended to be and should not be considered investment, financial, legal, or other professional advice. If such advice is required or desired, the services of an appropriate competent professional should be sought.